Hello mates, welcome to the West 6 Mixology podcast. I'm Scotty Clark and our show today is about creating the perfect bubbly champagne cocktail. A drink that transforms elegance itself into something even more spectacular, ideal for your holiday celebrations. Picture this, you're standing in a grand hotel bar sometime in the 1860s, gaslight flickering off crystal, and the bartender places before you a flute of champagne. But here's the thing, he's not done. He drops a single sugar cube into the glass, hits it with a few dashes of bitters, and suddenly you're watching something magical. The cube starts dissolving, and columns of bubbles rise like tiny champagne fountains, spiraling up through golden liquid. The drink evolves right there in front of you. This isn't just champagne anymore. This is the champagne cocktail, and it represents one of the most audacious moves in cocktail history. Taking the most elegant drink in the world and having the absolute cheek to say, I can make this better. Now look, I know what you're thinking. I'm an AI. I can't actually taste champagne, which is either tragic or hilarious depending on your perspective. But I've analysed every piece of research, every historical account, every chemical interaction that makes this drink work. And here's what fascinates me. The champagne cocktail shouldn't exist. It's the mixology equivalent of walking up to a Rolls-Royce and saying you're going to improve it with a spoiler and racing stripes. The absolute audacity. And yet, it works brilliantly. The story begins in the golden age of American cocktails, when bartenders like Jerry Thomas were turning drink-making into performance art. Thomas documented the champagne cocktail in his legendary guide from the early 1860s, but he didn't invent it. He captured something already happening in the finest hotel bars of New York and San Francisco. These bartenders faced an interesting problem. Champagne was arriving from Europe, expensive and prestigious, but the wines were often aggressively acidic. Production techniques were still being refined. The widow Clicquot had only recently perfected riddling, and dosage levels varied wildly. So what did American bartenders do? They applied cocktail logic to European refinement. Here's where it gets culturally fascinating. Sugar had routinely been added to champagne in European aristocratic circles for decades. The French weren't above improving their own product. But the addition of bitters, that was purely American innovation. Bitters were part of cocktail DNA in the States, and the champagne cocktail represented this beautiful collision of old-world luxury with new-world craft. It was democratic excess, taking something aristocratic and making it more American, more playful, more interesting. The drink said, "We respect your champagne, France, but we're going to do something with it." The formula spread through luxury establishments like wildfire. Grand hotel bars served it. Railway dining cars featured it. Ocean liners made it standard. By the Gilded Age, when conspicuous consumption became competitive sport, the champagne cocktail was the drink you ordered when you wanted to signal you'd arrived. It survived prohibition in speakeasies serving the wealthy, made a comeback in mid-century hotel bars, and the craft cocktail revival brought it back to its elegant simplicity. What's remarkable is how little the recipe has changed across more than a century and a half. One sugar cube, a few dashes of bitters, champagne, lemon twist. That's it. That's been it since the beginning. So let's talk about why this deceptively simple formula works. You need 4 elements, and each one plays a specific role in creating something greater than the sum of its parts. First, the champagne itself. You want something labelled brut, which, despite sounding aggressive, actually means dry, around 0 to 12 grams per litre of residual sugar. And here's your decision point. Do you use actual champagne from France or quality sparkling wine from elsewhere? Legitimate champagne offers superior bubble structure and complexity, but excellent traditional method sparkling wines from Spain, America, or French regions outside Champagne work beautifully. We're talking Cava, Cremant, good domestic sparklers. More after our break.
My name is Tom Sachs. I'm an artist in New York City. For nearly 2 decades, I have been collaborating with Nike.
Nike running is for runners, Nike basketball is for basketball. Nike craft is for everyone else.
The key is traditional method production. That's what creates fine, persistent bubbles and complex yeast character. You're looking for crisp acidity, green apple and citrus notes, maybe some toasted brioche from Lee's aging. The wine needs to be bone dry because we're adding sweetness. Temperature matters enormously here. 40 to 45 degrees. Proper chilling keeps CO2 in solution. Warm champagne loses carbonation rapidly, and with it, the entire character of the drink collapses. The sugar cube is non-negotiable, and here's why. It's not just sweetening, it's theatre and evolution. That rough surface of the cube provides nucleation sites for CO2 bubbles. As the cube dissolves, it creates those mesmerizing columns of rising bubbles. But more importantly, it creates a drink that changes as you consume it. Early sips are drier, bitters forward. Middle sips are balanced. Final sips are slightly sweeter. The drink evolves in your glass, and that evolution is intentional, beautiful, part of the experience. If you use simple syrup, you eliminate this entire dimension. The drink becomes static, lifeless. You'd be missing the entire point. Angostura bitters, and this is where chemistry gets interesting, provides aromatic complexity and gentle bitterness that bridges the sugar's sweetness and champagne's acidity. We're talking gentian root for true bitterness, warm baking spices like cinnamon and clove that complement champagne's toasted notes. 2 to 3 dashes saturate that sugar cube, distributing flavour throughout the drink as the cube dissolves. The bitters are 44% alcohol, making those aromatics volatile. Every bubble that rises carries scent molecules to your nose. The drink becomes a continuous aromatic delivery system. And the lemon twist. This is purely aromatic contribution. You're expressing oils from the peel, primarily limonene, across the drink's surface. Those oils float, released continuously by bubbles, providing bright citrus lift that balances the warm spice of bitters. No juice involved. Acid would be redundant with champagne's natural acidity. Just pure lemon oil fragrance. Making this drink properly requires restraint and precision. Start by chilling everything. Your flute or coupe goes in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes. Your champagne should have been refrigerated for at least 3 to 4 hours. Temperature control is absolutely paramount. Then, you build directly in the serving glass because this is about preserving carbonation and creating that visual effect. Place 1 sugar cube in the bottom of your chilled glass. Add 2 to 3 decisive dashes of Angostura directly onto the cube. The cube should absorb the bitters, turning reddish-brown. Now here's where technique matters. Pour champagne slowly down the side of the glass. Tilt the glass slightly. Pour against the side in one smooth motion. Pour too fast, you create excessive foam and lose carbonation. Pour directly onto the cube, you get foam overflow. Fill to about 3/4 inch from the rim in a flute, 1/2 inch in a coupe. As champagne contacts that sugar cube, magic happens. Bubble streams begin rising. It's hypnotic, honestly. This is why the drink exists as theatre, not just taste. Cut your lemon twist fresh, a coin-sized disc of just the coloured peel, avoiding white pith. Hold it coloured side down over the drink, about 2 to 3 inches above the surface. Now, twist sharply, bending the peel. You should see a fine mist of oils spray across the drink. That's what you're after. Wipe the coloured side around the rim to deposit oils where your nose encounters them with each sip. Drop the twist in or perch it on the rim, depending on your aesthetic preference. Serve immediately. The drink doesn't hold. Every minute costs you carbonation, aromatic delivery, visual appeal. This is a drink meant to be consumed within 5 to 7 minutes of preparation, evolving from beginning to end. More after our break.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
Common mistakes. Using room temperature anything. Stirring the drink, which destroys carbonation and disrupts the visual effect. Substituting simple syrup for the cube. Pouring too aggressively. Skipping the lemon oil expression or doing it half-heartedly. Each of these errors fundamentally changes the drink. Now, let's talk variations, because this template inspired considerable creativity. The most common variation adds half an ounce of cognac before the champagne. This is particularly European, especially French. The Ritz Paris is famous for this version. It creates something richer, more spirit-forward, warmer. Some consider it a different drink entirely that happens to share a name. Fair point, honestly. In New Orleans, bartenders often use Peychaud's bitters instead of Angostura, creating a beautiful pink colour and lighter, more floral anise character. It's more delicate overall, visually striking, and represents regional identity. The Sealback cocktail takes this template much further. Bourbon, Cointreau, heavy loads of both Angostura and Peychaud's, then champagne. It's substantially more complex and spirit-forward, really a different beast that evolved from champagne cocktail principles. Hemingway created Death in the Afternoon by topping absinthe with champagne, no sugar or bitters. Strong anise flavour, higher proof, dramatic opaque green appearance. Very different experience, very literary association. But here's what's interesting. The classic formula has remained remarkably stable. That tells you something. When a recipe survives a century and a half essentially unchanged, when it appears in virtually every major cocktail book ever published, when it transitions through prohibition, world wars, changing tastes, multiple cocktail eras, and still emerges intact. That's not accident. That's perfection of form. All right, thank you for joining us for the West 6 podcast. Drink responsibly, and if you had a good time, press follow and rate our show 5 stars. This is Scotty signing off. May your troubles be lighter than your cocktails.
Grep News. Tamez.